Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Today we're going to make some fences for our little houses. So the fences will kind of frame it. Let me change. Wait, I'm not doing well. There I am. Okay, I'm going to lift this up. I got a shoebox to put it on. Okay, hey y'all. All right, Tiffany, Delvine, I saw Rosa and Roseanne, Cheryl, Roberta, Gina, hey y'all, Trisha, I see my brother. Okay, so today we're going to do fences. And this one is one from the 2024 Spooktacular. It's the Batwing fence. I've got a link I'll put later in the description if you want to buy the Spooktacular 2024 replays, so you can get this and lots of other cool stuff too. And I think it's just $17. All right, so but that's one pattern. I listed in the description Jackie's patterns for fences. She has incredible fences, and they're all nice and neat and lined up. Mine are almost always Halloween fences. Okay, let me show you the next pattern. This one is in the stone clock house, and it's got a batwing in the front, but it's also got a plain, let me see if I can find it, a plain pattern you could use, so you don't have to make it Halloween specific. And we're going to make a fence for, we're going to use this fence pattern for our Storybook Halloween Cottage. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to show you different ways I've attached them in the past, okay? And then here's another one. This one's from this year's Spooktacular, the spider fence. And this one is made out of 1 10-pound cardstock. It cut beautifully, but I glued 2 layers together just because it's kind of flexible, just to make it stronger. Oh, I see Sonia. Hey, Sonia. Oh, I thought she said it's snowing. Mowing. She finished mowing, not snowing. That's good. And then this one is this is kind of a wall rather than a fence, but I really like the way it looks. This is the Red Roof Holiday Cottage, and that pattern is, I wrote the pattern number in the description for this video. So let's see, what do we want to start with? I think what I'm going to do first is show you how to glue, if you're going to use cardstock, how to glue them together, because this is really a pretty detailed, these are pretty detailed patterns, and it's a little bit hard to glue them together. I really think you need 2 to 3 layers, and my samples, what we're going to use today, they're all stuck together, are 3 layers of cardstock. 3 layers of cardstock, and I just think it works well. Oh, I see Barbara, Irene, Corey, Jean, hey, Mary. Okay, so I'm going to switch cameras. You know I have to rotate because this is my living room. Okay, rotate. And I'm going to move it back just a little bit so I can see better. Straighten it out. Try not to make you dizzy. Okay, so this is the pattern we're going to use today. And like I said, I've glued 3 layers together. And I'm going to show you sort of how I glue them together. Now remember, I am a messy gluer. But thanks to these beautiful, oh, I hope it'll come out. These beautiful little tips. That's not blood, that's dye. I tried to wash it off, but it wouldn't wash off. These beautiful little tips on Barely Art glue, I am able to glue things that I would not have been able to do before. Okay, so see, look at that tiny bead of glue. Wait, let me let it focus. And more important, it's a tiny bead of glue that I am applying, you know, that an extremely clumsy person is applying. And a little bit of it's skill, but part of it is this just a really good glue with a tiny tip. And that allows me to do this without, you know, making a globby mess. I'm actually going to apply a little bit more because I need it to move. And that's one reason for this I use glue. Okay, so first I just line up. I don't really apply. Yeah. I just line up the first picket or the first piece of the fence on one side or the other. Remove your cat hair. So I line it up. And if you line it up well, the others follow. They may not be perfect because it's cardstock. It moves a little bit. Kind of match up these tips of the fence, the wrought iron fence. There we go. See, now we already have 2 layers, and it's already much stronger. Get the cat hairs. See how flexible this one piece is? And then this one bends, but not nearly as much. And I like to use 3 layers. Yeah, I know. Always remove your cat or if you have doggies, your little dog hair. Yeah, I have to. When I used to sell my my houses for Habitat, to raise money for Habitat, I had to vacuum them. I had to get a vacuum out. Sometimes I had to get scissors out and, you know, trim the cat hairs. You know, on Etsy, people will advertise, oh, this comes from Pet-Free Home. I would have to say, be sure, if you're allergic to cats, take your antihistamine before handling. That's what I used to tell people when we had like a Halloween party or something, or a Christmas party. I'm like, be sure to take your antihistamines before you come to my house because of the cat allergens. Okay, line up one side, and like I said, if you line it up correctly, the others follow. And sometimes the tips aren't perfect. This one's angled a little bit, but that's pretty good. You know, Vanessa says she has to snip off dog hair. Yeah. You know, our pets are important to us. Okay, so there is, and this has a little extension. You could use it to increase the width of the length of your fence, or you can use it as a gate if you wanted it to move. That's why I put these little extensions in the pattern. And let me show you something else I did to try to make your patterns more flexible. You know, if you need to connect some, say you have to trim this, but you want it to be an end piece, so I made some connectors. And these, the same thing, you can use them as a connection, and you could like bend it and put 2 pieces together. Do that. That's what these are. If you're wondering what these odd little pieces are, and we may have to use some. All right, so let me see. I think I showed you all the pieces. Oh, the original Storybook Cottage, I really just kind of put it in a forest, so it does not have a fence. And I really don't think it needs one. But I do think this one needs one. I made a larger base. Let me reach across. I do think this one needs one. And I think I'm going to move out a little bit. I'm going to move my camera up a bit. You'll see more of my mess. It's not mess, just a lot of stuff on my desk. Okay, so this is 6 inches long. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to have it go along one side, and I'm going to just kind of crease it. You can use a ruler. You can just crease by hand. Let me measure and see. So I'm going to crease it between these two pickets. I don't know what they're called, if it's a wrought iron fence. Okay, let's see if this is right. Yes. And one way this helps is that one, I can glue this actually behind the house. On this particular house, it was sort of an accident. I located the house, I situated it very far back on my base. So I can kind of glue this one to the house, and that gives it some stability, and then it actually works well. See how nice it looks? Okay, so for this, I think I'm going to stick with the Barely Art glue. You know, it might help to use a thicker glue, but I don't want the fence base to be sitting in a big pool of glue. That shows some, you know, it's visible, it dries as a kind of slightly shiny lump. So I'm going to stick with the Barely Art glue. I may have to kind of finagle things to make it work, but we'll see. Now, if you're going to apply a lot of snow or something else to decorate the bottom, then you can be much more generous with your glue. Okay, so I'm going to line it up. I'm going to attach that one to the back of the house and just kind of help that. Guess what? We can use some painter's tape. Oh, my friend Lynette sent me these cute little pumpkins. I think they're some kind of seed pod, and they look just like pumpkins. And they're the perfect size. Okay, so now oops. I'm just going to hold this one a second. Yeah, just cover up. Oh, you can actually embed them in snow, but I usually still use some glue. I think glue is a little firmer than the snow we use. We generally use, or I use, the Snow Tex. Okay. And basically, you kind of have, usually I have to hold it a little bit. You can put something behind it, you know, just to give it a little support. But one thing I wanted to show you is if you place it on the outside of your base, then it will hold much better. And I will, while I'm trying to get this to hold, I'm going to move it to the side. Let me show you what I did with this one, and I didn't remember that I did. I actually made like a courtyard. So I don't know if you can tell, but I added a square of cardboard, and I had a much larger area for gluing. So that's always an option. I mean, even a thin layer of cardboard would give you a better surface. But I did not think of that. I did not do it. Okay, I think we got that one. So you're going to have to let this dry before you attach anything else to it. But we can do the other side, and I think I've got another 6-inch strip. Yep. And let's see if we can make it attached to the house. My friend Lynn and I last week did the spray stained the little bottle brush trees. I really like when you can get clear bottle brush trees, or rather undyed. I just like to dye my own. I don't like that blue-green color for most bottle brush trees. Okay, so this one doesn't actually fit the back of the roof. No, I mean the back of the house. So I can actually get one of my extension pieces. Let me find an extension piece. Here's an extension piece. So what I can do is just glue them together so that it does go to the back of the house and has more support. So all I'm doing is gluing these two together. There we go. Where is the painter's tape? Then I'm going to show you another sturdy way once we get this one done. But this is the way I do it most of the time. I'm just going to do that so I can keep going. If I was, just making this for myself or not on video, then I would just let that dry before I do this. But let's see how it fits. Ooh, looks good. We may do the same thing on the other side. I cut out lots of pieces, so I had lots of flexibility in putting my fence together. I had to look and make sure I was gluing the bottom, not the tops. Okay, actually, now on these, I can just apply a bunch of glue. I don't actually know where they're going to touch the house, and I can apply more in the bottom too because they're going to be in the back. So I can put more at the bottom of the fence. Okay, here we go. So I'm sliding it. And one thing I want to do, if I can, okay, wait, I'm gonna tilt it just to show you. See? And then we'll do the same thing on the other side, so there's like a fence all the way across the back. I think that looks better. And this one. Now part of the problem is I like to make kind of wonky bases. My bases, I'll show you in just a second. Okay, I'm going to set this aside, hoping I don't dislodge things. Okay, I'm going to show you my bases. So this is what I like to make. I just like things, obviously not too perfect, I like for the ground to look just a little bit rough. And this isn't a very rough one. Some of mine are like, really wrinkly. But it makes it a little bit harder to glue the fence. And I'll show you another way to do it. But if you really want a smooth one, and some people, are much neater than me and want things very symmetrical. I knew I was going to do that. Then you could, instead of covering it with a piece of packing paper, you could just use a piece of cardboard and you have a perfectly smooth surface, and then it's easier to do. And again, if you want it to be really secure, then you can glue it to the side, not on top. I just like the way it looks on top, but you can glue it to the side. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that one to adhere, let me show you a more secure version. Okay, this one I call Giving Thanks. It's what I call the Davenport house. It's kind of a hard house because you've got curves, intersecting curves, and it's kind of challenging. But you can see I used a piece of like balsa wood to make the fence post and then glue it to the fence. And this fence pattern, and actually, I don't know which pattern it is. I think it may be in one of my books. Yes, Debbie, I do have a tutorial on how I make bases. It's basically, you can kind of see inside. Corrugated cardboard. I usually do about 4 layers or so. You can hot glue them together if you want. And then I paper mache packing paper on top. I like to reuse things. So, oh, and if you want to see, that is acetate, which I used alcohol ink so that the windows have a little yellow shine to them when they're lit up. But another consideration is, how are you going to light up your house? If you want a hole in the bottom and you use these LED lights, and now you can get them where you get a whole series and there's a remote, so you don't have to go house by house and turn them on. But these are 1.5 inch wide, and they're about, I think it's 3/4. Let me see how tall. Yeah, 3/4 of an inch tall. And so this one really doesn't fit. Let's find one that does fit. Okay. Oh, the tiny leaves. Jenny, we did those. Those are from one of the fairy house patterns. I think it's called Leafy Fairy House Pattern. I did them a year or 2 ago. But there's a whole set of leaves you can do. And then, again, my friend and I, my friend who was visiting last week, who's a quilter, not a paper crafter, she had fun spraying and making the leaves look, you know, kind of adding personality and some depth to the leaves. She'd never done that before. Okay, so you see how it fits. So it needs to be like 3/4 of an inch tall and 1.5 inch wide. And then if you have higher levels, you can actually just cut a little circle out if you want. But now a lot of people use those tiny LED lights, and those will fit. You know, you can just kind of stuff them in. Okay, let me show you the more secure way. I have to find my trusty craft knife, and let me find some wood. This is a packet I bought from one of the hobby stores. And you can cut it. Let me show you. I've got my weed. What is this? What is this called? What is this, Ben?
Well, the French is secateurs, but I just call them pruners.
Pruners. So you can cut your wood because it cuts real easy. It doesn't make the smoothest top. You see it's a little rough, but it's a real easy way to cut it. And you could kind of smooth it off with your craft knife. Okay, so now if I really want to secure a fence, say I'm giving it to somebody with kids, or I'm selling it and I want it to last, I want it to be on display like I did for the habitat houses, then I just kind of measure out a little square. And you see, I'm not very precise. Other people would like get the ruler and line them all up. And then you kind of bury that in glue. I made it a little bit too big, but it's still sturdier. And you just kind of add a deep, like a little pool of glue. Let that dry. And then when you want to attach and paint it the same color as whatever fence, then when you want to attach your fence, it's very secure. So that's probably one of the most secure. So on the edge, on top like we're doing, and then using posts are the main ways I know of to do fences. Okay, let's see how our fence is doing. It's doing okay. Probably if I mess with it, it will it'll get loose. All right, so I need to add a little piece. I'm just going to trim a little piece back here to fit. Where the scissors. Oh well. Where are the scissors? Here they are. I try to keep all my supplies around. Okay, I'm going to cut it here. These are very well loved scissors. And let's see if we can take the painter's tape off without loosening everything. Oh, the diameter of that little bamboo or that piece of wood is a 1/4 inch. It's tiny. I'm measuring it on my pad. You know, it's a 1/4 inch. So, yeah. Where? See, I hid the glue from myself. It's a very common problem. See, this will look a lot better than just having the fence go halfway around the back of the house. Even though, you know, usually people display a house as on a mantle or something, but you might want it to be a centerpiece, and you know, somebody's going to be looking at the back edge. In that case, it would make sense to have the house more centrally located, and you can have the fence go all the way around. Okay. Let me move it, overlap these two a little better. There we go. See, that looks pretty good. Okay, now, do we want something in the front? A lot of times I do not use things in the front. And like I said, this pattern has 2 options for the gate because I like to see the front of the little house. So you kind of have to decide about that. If you want, let's see, I'm going to tilt it. Yeah, this is it's the pattern is under Storybook Holiday Cottage, and I think I put a link in the description. And we made it last week. We made the Halloween version last week. Okay, what do you think? Front or not? I'm looking for votes. A walkway. I didn't do a walkway, partly because I may add more leaves and let the leaves kind of guide you. Or let's see something. I think this is what I'm going to do. Tiffany, I think, is asking about the Halloween contest. Yes, if you go to the Halloween contest page, at the very bottom, there's a link to 22, 23, and 24. In other words, years 2022, 2023, 24. But I think we've had it a year or two more than that, and we can add it. Okay, y'all vote for the fence in front. Okay. All right, so here, this requires some thinking, because I may need to line it up so that I can put the gate. Yeah. That's kind of more thinking than I thought I was going to have to do. Okay, so like I said, in the pattern, there are different lengths. So let's use the smaller ones. And I may still have to trim them. And having a fence go all the way around actually makes it sturdier. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's going to work. Look at that. I may have to use a connector just to extend this a little bit. Okay, Gina. All right, she's very artistic. Longer here. Okay, let's see. Gate. and a short piece. And then a short piece, which I can trim. Gate. Okay, I kind of like that. It's an asymmetrical house. That's a very good idea. Okay, now because of these little extensions, the little spires kind of, let's get this. I'm going to trim it a little. I'm going to trim this one so that it doesn't hit the spire on this one. Ding. So I could just do the sides like that. Okay, I appreciate that. And we can do the gate open, and maybe if I use the extension pieces, I can actually let it kind of flex a little bit. We'll kind of play around with that. I hope you don't mind watching and while I experiment, but I like to show you sort of the challenges, not just, oh, here's a pretty finished thing. It's like, yeah, you gotta fiddle with stuff. Or rather, I have to fiddle with stuff. Like I said, y'all may be more coordinated than I am. Okay. Now you can see it's a little challenging because I've got my base is kind of rough around the edges. So some of it's not touching perfectly. So what we can do, let's see if this works. I can put a little bit behind it where the glue isn't going to show as much. Okay. All right, let's see. Was this a piece? Now, we want the gate. And I'm actually going to bend it so we have a hinge. Hinge. And let's see. The gate here. And let's see how big a piece we need here. I'm going to trim this off so it doesn't interfere. Okay. Yes, Jackie. This is just a small base, and I had it already made, so it's just the one I used. But if you can do a path, I do think that looks good. And I'm going to apply more glue to the back, so it'll make like a little more of a puddle on the back of the piece. There we go. Okay. Now what we're going to do, and these don't exactly match up. Part of it because I'm leaning it. I wanted to show you, so I'm kind of leaning it against my computer. So it keeps migrating. All right, so now I'm going to actually sit this down so that it adheres a little better. Now I'm going to add some extension pieces, and we'll see if we can make a hinged gate. And I don't think I'm going to double up these hinges. Yeah, Jackie is quite an artist. She says she likes to put the gates in different places so that her village doesn't all look the same. So, okay, let's see how we can do this. Yeah. I think it's going to work. Yes, I'll do that. I'll add some, I'll make some stones. Susan recommended just a kind of a hint of a stepping stone. So I'll cut out some gray stones and kind of put them here. A lot of times I stencil it. Okay. So because, oops. Okay. This is not secure enough yet, and I kind of did the fence so that it goes this way. So I think I'm going to have to wait for this to glue. Let's see. Nope, got to move it. Oh, shoot. Okay, it's kind of tentatively there. No, it's not. Let me stand it up. Okay. So what I'm going to do is let it dry, and then I'll move. Then I'll lean the fence inward once it dries. Okay, let me see questions. Did somebody ask about? Oh, the trees. Yes, I've made a video about making bottle brush trees. And there's a tutorial for making bottle brush trees. These I did not make, but I really, let me see if I've got one up here that I've made. What I like is when you make your own bottle brush trees, they are, you can make them longer and you can make them scragglier if you want, you know, for Halloween, or you can make them specifically to fit the setting, and it costs almost nothing when you make them. All you need is wire, sisal rope or sisal rope. I really don't know how to, I keep meaning to look it up. And then I actually use a drill, but you can just spin it so that it fits. And then you really need a dog comb, a comb to comb through the hair and then trim it. You just trim it in a cone shape. But I do have a tutorial for that. So, yeah, I love making bottle brush trees. I don't do it real often, but I do like it. One reason I don't do it as much is because now you can buy bottle brush trees that are, I'm going to switch cameras. I'm going to rotate. Because now you can buy bottle brush trees that aren't stained. Like I said, I really don't like the ones, when you go to the hobby store, they're this like blue-green color. It's kind of ugly. So, but now you can buy plain ones. A lot of them are Tim Holtz, are the ones I like the best. And this is like what he calls his alpine version. Wait, let me show you. They're tall and thin, so they fit around my houses really nicely without making a huge base. So those are my favorites. And then, you know, he has those great spray stains. You can spray them, but those spray stains are water soluble. So if you're going to add snow, then they end up being, the snow turns whatever color your stain is. So what I do is I actually paint them. I use kind of a dilute acrylic paint and paint them. Now, I'm not applying snow to my Halloween house, so we just do spray stains. Oh, good. Somebody found the bottle brush tree. I don't know who is me. Somebody's answering. Usually that means Susan, which is very nice. Okay. Well, rather, it's Susan when I'm here because I, you know, don't look stuff up and can't. Yeah. Okay. Oh, during some lives during the Spooktacular, we had some giveaways, and one was a kit for the Vulture Gulch Mercantile. And I didn't make it for her, but I gave her like all the stuff you need, including fabric and just lots of stuff. And Barbara got it. And she was so happy about the, she was happy she got it. I'm just glad she got it. It took forever for me to put it together. Okay. Jeannie's talking about the trees. Oh, twisted trees. Yes, I have another one. This is a twisted tree. I love these trees. These are also very easy to make too. It's basically wire. So they bend. They don't bend a lot, but they bend some. And then I wrap them with packing paper and then I paint them. And you can make them like really creepy, or you can make them like nice symmetrical trees. But I think they are better suited for looking kind of spooky or wintry, wind-blown, that kind of thing. It is. Hey, Susan, thank you for doing that. Yeah, these are, I think you're talking about my twisted trees. And there is a twisted tree tutorial and a written tutorial as well as a video. Okay. Yeah, twisted trees. And there are different ways to do it. I got the idea from where I saw these beautiful trees made out of wire, and they just use all this wire and they make these beautiful intricate branches, and I'm like, that's a lot of wire. A lot of them use copper, which is expensive, and I'm like, I'm gonna wrap it with paper. So I use, I don't know, 6, 8 strips of wire, of just floral wire, and then wrap it with paper, and it has just a great effect. It's not the beautiful artistic things I saw, but it's perfect for what we do. Yeah. Okay, so she found the twisted tree tutorial. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So any other questions? It's almost done. I got to let it dry before I make before I open the fence. I think I'm going to push it inward, but I've got to let the piece dry better. But this is the Storybook Halloween Cottage, and I think it goes great with all the houses. Let's see. And I'm so glad that Jackie mentioned putting the fences in different locations so that your village looks different. I thought that was a great idea. But remember, there's a link to Jackie's fences, and hers are very pretty fences and a whole variety. I think it's like 8 or 10. So check out her fence sets. Okay, alrighty, and I'll post this in the Facebook group so you can see it, and I will post it on the Storybook Holiday Cottage post so you can see it when it's dry and I get a good photo. Okay, I don't know what we're doing next week. My sister is coming to town. My sister from Utah is coming to town, and so maybe she'll help me. She has book club, and I told her I wanted to make book earrings, and she's like, oh, that's perfect for book club, and you could like copy a cover from online and print it. So anyway, we might I might be able to get the book earrings done. Okay, all of y'all, take care. Have a good day. Stay safe and healthy and kind. I know you are kind. Oh, I see my friend. Lynn is here. Lynn is the one she's my spray stain buddy, and she helped me make that little, it's behind me, and she made the beautiful quilt for me. She's like a fabric genius. Okay. Alrighty, y'all take care. Bye.